Hello, everyone. I'm really happy that you've been able to come and join me. Um, I'm with the cast and crew of The Subject, and we're here for the Berlin Independent Film Festival, and it's my honor to be able to speak to you because I watched the movie last night and it blew me away, and it was very, very affecting and surprising. So I'm thrilled that I get a chance to talk to you. Um, I guess what I'd really like you to do is, first of all, um, just introduce yourselves and tell us your role in the project.
Great, I'll go first. I'm Lanny Zapoy, and I'm the director of the film. Chisa, you want to go next?
I'm Chisa Hutchinson. I'm the screenwriter. And Niall, you want to go next?
Hi, everybody. My name is Niall Bullock, and I play Malcolm in The Subject.
Hi, I'm Doug Womble, and I wrote the musical score for the film.
Hi, I'm Cece Torres. I'm the costume designer.
Thank you. So, what a film that just makes you think and feel and turns you inside out sometimes. The most important question I want to ask you all is, or particularly because I know that Chisa, it's from a play you wrote, and I guess I'd love to know where the story came from, where your inspiration came from.
Yeah. So I wrote this. I wrote this as a play for my grad my grad playwriting class at NYU, and yeah, I got the idea. I first started percolating on the idea when I saw a news special. There was a journalist who decided that she was going to be homeless for 2 weeks. So she's like out there being homeless, and she's got a camera crew following her around, and she's like picking food out of the trash and is like, this is what they eat, and I'm just like, what is this shit? Like, why? Yeah, I guess why would be the more important question, like to what end? And um it rubbed me the wrong way. And it really got me thinking about how, you know, people who are in this line of work, right, as I don't know, filmmakers or journalists or, any kind of artist really, when they choose their subjects, how are they doing that? For what reasons? Like, what motivates them to choose their particular subjects, and how do they treat their subjects? And do they lose their humanity or lose sight of the humanity of their subjects along the way? Yeah, so that was the inspiration for the play. You're muted.
I'm an actor. So what's amazing about what you terrible at technology, but I and so what was wonderful about it is that for me, as someone who's been politically active and aware since I was a teenager, and I feel like I kind of I'm aware of what's going on. Being an artist really made me question lots of choices that I've ever made. And that was just fascinating, just from a very personal but particular point of view. What I love the most about it is how intricate the story is, and that brilliant thing of, the first half, you think it's about him. And then the second half, I mean, of course, it's all about who is the subject. And that's really thrilling when the layers are peeled or the corners are turned. And for me, that's what I just found so compelling about it. Lanny, about your approach to making this amazing film, what, because you have a very extensive and versatile background, what was different about the way you approached making something like this?
It's very funny because I think for directors in film in particular, it's about seeing the director a lot, the director's choices, point of view. And while I have a point of view, the difference with this story is to let the story breathe. What Shisa had written was so beautiful, and we are pulling back layers of the story of the character and who is the subject. But also, there are moments where you leave the audience, I hope, wondering who has the right or who is telling the story, and has them maybe even question other movies that they've seen with the camera, the way it's done or the way it's edited together. And I love that this story offered that, but yet it wasn't supposed to be me in a way as a director. I was supposed to help embody so many different stories because the lead character, Phil, played by Jason Biggs, is a director. So we've got his films, and it's like, well, how would that character tell that documentary, which we're filming? It's not how would Lanny tell that story. Can I get into how Phil would tell the story? And to me, that was the huge challenge, to still make the audience feel like they were safe within the story somewhat, but also unsafe in terms of how we're playing the structure, so that when we get to the final bit, you don't know exactly where you stand. And that was a huge challenge, but really one that I wanted to take on.
And that's what's
Back on mute, Brody.
oh no. I don't know what I'm pressing. It's incredibly, I really apologize for this. It's really impressive. And what's really interesting about it is that I wrote something while I was watching it, that it's really powerful what Jason does. It's because he inhabits the atmosphere. There's something that's really pervasive about that performance, and so that's why it's so exciting when it switches, for me anyway. And I found that really powerful because I didn't know what this film was about. It was unveiled to me as I watched it, and that's kind of an interesting experience because, of course, that doesn't happen very often. So for everyone else, what is, and I guess maybe it starts with you, Lanny, is how do you bring all these people together and create something like this? How organic and freeform do you allow things to be? Because of the documentary aspect to what the film is about, it feels that really kind of flows in and out really well.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms of this, in terms of building the team, luckily with Minnie, I have a long standing history. Chisa and I knew each other from theater for over a decade. So otherwise, I doubt that I would have gotten the chance to direct this film. So I'm very grateful for that. I've known Doug for longer than a couple of people have been alive who are on here. We've known each other since we were 15. We grew up in Memphis together. So this was really a dream project in the sense that we get to bring sort of Memphis and how it imbues you with music and art and do it yourself together. And that was really a dream. It feels like we have a shorthand, like I could say 2 words or maybe no words at all, and Doug will know exactly what I'm imagining and make it even better. And then, Cece, I got to meet through our production designer, and it's a collaboration that's going to last forever. I mean, she's also a director in her own right. And so I'm looking forward to being supportive in her directing efforts. And then we had just the best casting director whom I've worked with, Destiny Lilly, in theater and film. And she brought us Nile. And that was a wonderful experience in and of itself. But then, when we're on set, It's a funny thing because we didn't do a lot of prep or rehearsal for this film. It's definitely an indie film, but everybody was so committed to the story that Chisa had written and the words that when we were together, it was all in and it was just magical. Like it still feels like magic. Like most of us can't imagine making another project that's as special as this one, unfortunately. Like if we could go back, we would just live making the subject every day. If that were my Groundhog Day, I would be so thrilled because it was that way. And with the documentary, we let things sort of unfold. But in the, the big final scene, you have two great actors, you let them work, you let them find things. But in terms of the camera angles, that was all set out. Like we knew exactly what we were doing with that and had it plotted. But I think I firmly believe that you bring the best team together and you let it breathe and you let them bring themselves to the project and the project will be better. And so that's how it worked. I don't know, Cece, do you want to weigh in at all on that?
Yeah, I feel like a broken record because I've said this so many times, but I really appreciated just the freedom that you gave us to dive into our roles and really bring what we could, or, what we thought. Like I read the script and I completely was like, oh my gosh, like I have to do this justice and I have to, really think about these characters and the lives that they lead and, not be stereotypical. Like I felt responsible for helping shape how they walk through life. And so it definitely felt very collaborative. There wasn't any micromanaging or any like this is what I need. It was it was awesome.
And then with Doug, I'll just say that I went to his apartment in New York, not this beautiful apartment with all the guitars, but another one, and played the film, and he was very moved by it. And then, Doug, if you want to talk about working on the score, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true for me. I've been wanting to do a feature film for a while, and ironically, I've done a lot of documentaries, so it was kind of a nice foray into feature films. It was one of the scariest things because Lanny and I have known each other for so long and we're such close, dear friends. And I was just like, I didn't really know what to expect. I've seen so much of her work in theater. And so she's making her first feature-length film. And I was like, it seems like such an overwhelming task. I was like, I knew she could do it, but I didn't know it was going to knock me on my ass like it did. And so when we started talking about various elements of how to, being a musician and a composer, you always want to, you're always going for something in terms of like what you're writing. But if you're, in this case, it's not about the music. The music is fully in support of what's going on. And I think that there was just so much to work with. There was so much, I just felt like I was seasoning this beautiful pot of gumbo with a little salt and maybe saying, you know what, it could use maybe another bay leaf, It was already there. I just felt like the performances were so strong, the vibe was so strong, and Lanny was so clear in how she communicated what she wanted from like a vibe perspective. Like she wouldn't get in there and say like, oh, I want it, we have a trust on this, on just working together, but she was able to communicate what she wanted in a very clear way, so it made my job very easy. And I loved just approaching it from a perspective of just creating sound and creating themes and things that draw on, like Lanny said, like where we come from, and trying to incorporate some of that into the score without it being overt. And it was definitely, there's things I learned doing this film that I think I will, there'll be lessons that I'm going to take, not just musically and from the work perspective, but just like the things that it made me think about. It was very, very profound. And it's a hell of a script. Oof.
Doug,
Can I just say one last thing, which is that I was super nervous because he had worked in Burns. And so I'm coming after that.
Doug, could you mute yourself just because of the replay? Thank you so much. It's amazing that you described it, the seasoning, because it has such beautiful, like minimal. There's a minimal quality to the soundtrack. I mean, I loved it, and it felt really bold. And so it's really interesting to hear that it's your first feature soundtrack, because it's got a lot of like power to it. And I found it really it completely just married the tension or the atmosphere of every scene, and it was really impressive for that. Niall, so as an actor, I look at your performance and I think to myself, where's the acting?
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not saying that to flatter you. I mean, it's because of your role within the movie. You come across like so well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, this has to be, I say it all the time. Personally, for me, this is one of the most meaningful projects that I've worked on so far in my career as an actor. And yeah, this uh um this film is so relevant to everything that has been happening over the past couple years. It's almost kind of uh in a way, I feel like the film is almost before its time, because so much crap has happened since then, that it just, this is literally like it's medicine, I feel like, when people watch this film, and for me, like, being able to take on a character like Malcolm, I feel like it's exactly what I needed, with um I said this a couple of times in the past talkbacks that we had. Me coming up as a young African American actor, I found myself usually playing very stereotypical roles, as like a thug, or like someone who's getting arrested for something. And for this, it just had so much of just a deeper meaning. And personally for me, like I know quite a couple kids like Malcolm, and talented kids that, and talent needs to be preserved and it needs to be nurtured. And this film, I feel like it really highlights that, you know uh taking care of the youth, in a way. And it just yeah, it just felt right. This was a blessing, being able to work on this film with this amazing team. Like that really, I feel like, helped me play into this character. And again, like Lenny and Sissy were saying, everybody was committed, and yeah, I loved working on this project so much.
That scene with the video camera, the shooting.
Yeah,
Wow,
my
man.
favorite, my
Wow.
favorite scene. Jason is a badass. Like he is dope, and he made it just, super easy to work with him, and the chemistry, it was there. Like, he's just such a cool individual, and for me, that was a very powerful scene. That's one of my favorites, because uh um I want to go on to, make films, one day. And even here, like in my basement, like I find myself, I record myself all the time. So being able uh to add that element um to the film was amazing. Yeah. And yeah, I love it.
Amazing.
I miss
Amazing.
y'all so much.
When was the last time you saw each other, even via Zoom? Have you
Oh
been doing a lot of
man,
these?
probably like last month, right? Was it last month? Yeah, last month. Yeah, last time in person was literally at the first screening, right? Yeah, it's been a minute. So much stuff has happened since then, but yeah.
Chisa, what about the process of turning your play into this film, and how? What was your thought process? What did you want? Did you have a really clear idea of what you wanted to see?
Nope. No, I just knew I had actually adapted it long before even Lanny approached with this opportunity, because there was another filmmaker who saw a reading of the play and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about adapting this into a film?" And I said, "Oh no, but that might be interesting." And I worked with him for a little bit. I'll just say I knew what I didn't want. But it was
Everyone has
exciting
it.
to be able to, like, because the play is very different. It takes place all in Phil's home, and it's unit set, and it's, and you don't, and I was like, oh, we get to like venture outside Phil's house now and like see what he's working on now. And oh, let's go like visit Jess in her boutique. And,
Yeah.
so there were things that I was really excited about being able to do on film versus on stage. But then the filmmaker whose idea it was to adapt it into a film came at me. I gave him the first draft and he read it and he goes, "Yeah, this is great. But I was thinking maybe more of a focus on like Malcolm joining the gang and like why he wants to join this gang." And I was like, oh no, no, that ain't it. Like that ain't it. So we just sort of quietly, parted ways after that. He had a baby, which made it easy because then he was just sort of focused on that, and I just never bothered to ping him and be like, "Hey, we're still working on this thing." And then the option ran out, and I just let that rock. So yeah, just venturing outside and being able to experience Phil like really in his element, I think is key to understanding like key to making him likable, because even like the most dastardly villains, right, are, you have to respect them if they're good at what they do, right? And when you see him like doing what it is that he does and seeing how he gets kids like Malcolm to like really open up to him and stuff, that was key, I think, in order to getting the audience to relate to him and to an extent, maybe not everybody the same extent, but to an extent to root for him um, a little bit, to like learn a lesson.
Yeah, but I think it really does take you on that journey. Really takes you on that journey. I know that it affected me in that same way, because there are things that he did, when he's kind of diffusing situations, that you kind of go, this guy is authentic. He sounds authentic. And he is authentic. This is a very flawed man. He's not always conscious of, but that's what's so powerful in it. And it really does feel like it teaches you a lesson. And I think that's not a bad thing. I think this is a good thing, especially on a subject which is, so pertinent right now. What, Lanny, where did the overlap come? Was there an overlap, or did you present the script kind of finished? Where did you work together? Because obviously you know each other. Did you work together in your process?
Yeah, I mean, we did. The script was pretty much finished. Like, we didn't change much of it. The only thing I asked was that there be a scene where we get to see the girlfriend, Jess, outside of Phil. We already had a scene in her shop where she receives a package. And I said, why don't we put the scene there? Just thinking like an indie producer as well, which is we're going to rent that shop for the day anyway. So I'm not telling you what it needs to be, but just put it in that shop. And then Chisa came in with this wonderful scene about relatives coming, and we get to see a side of Jess. And I just thought that was really, really important to see her outside of his life, so that when heartbreak comes at some point, we really feel it and we know what a forgiving person she is, but what line must be crossed at this moment. And I thought that would be really impactful. And Chisa wrote a scene that just the actors, as they were performing it, really had a hard time with the ending of the scene because it was so emotional and felt so real for them. I mean, they did a great job, but it was a challenge. So outside of that, I mean, pretty much it wasn't anything else except that, you know, Chisa, because I come from theater, was could be on set anytime, any day that she wanted. Her input, everybody loves her. That was part of it, the cast, the crew. And it was important that she be there. You know, she's busy and has other things going on, but she was there as much as she possibly could be. And I, you know, if she was like, hey, Lanny, what about this? We would try it. Like, why not? It comes from her. So it was honestly, like I said, a dream working with everybody. And it starts with Chisa.
Well, Chisa, I've read your webpage, and the way you express yourself is like the joy I felt. I feel like I have to go back now. Every time I kind of, especially in the world we're living, it's so beautifully expressed, man. It's so joyful, joyful. Anyway, that was a surprise. I was just trying to find out a bit about you. I'd love to talk to you more, but I'm afraid we're out of time. I just want to thank you for because I got to watch this movie that I might not have, discovered. So I'm thrilled to have spoken to you, and really good luck with the movie and everything that you're going to do in the future.
Thank you so much, Miltos. And we want to just also give a huge shout out to the Berlin Independent Film Festival. We're thrilled to be making our German premiere there and to be a part of this wonderful festival. Like, we're really, really excited.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.